Welcome to the Reports Participation Project for the WV K-12 Education problem. In this project, we're going to look at how we can create and use reports, which are a way of being able to view the data that's stored in our database. Unlike forms, reports are only for being able to view data. You can't go and change the data in a report. To get started, I've downloaded and extracted the provided data files, and I've opened up the starter file here in Access. We can build reports based on tables or queries, and like we saw with forms, there's two major ways that we can go and build them here on the Create ribbon. There's the Report Tool and the Report Wizard. There's also this Report Design option, but you're normally not going to use that. You'll go through and start off with a Report Tool, a Report Wizard created report, and then tweak it. Let's go ahead and create a report based on Query 5a, which has information on our different school districts. I'm just going to open up Query 5a so we can take a look, so that we see that there's the district, what school year we're talking about, the population it serves, what the total of the enrollment was. This was actually a field that we did grouping to go through and calculate with the sum, and then we had this indication of whether or not it was a high graduation rate. So we want to create a report to be able to display this information. And we're going to use the report tool for this. I'm going to close out the query here. With Query 5a selected, on the Create ribbon, I'm going to click the Report button. And that's going to build this new report for me. First of all, I'm going to go and save this. And I want to call this District Performance Summary. And I'll go ahead and click OK. Right now, we're in what's known as Layout View. Layout View allows us to go and see what our report's going to look like, essentially, and be able to tweak settings, sort of like when we were working with Layout View for forms. There are some other views. There's Design View, which really just allows us to go and position fields and things. Design View is not the most user-friendly, as you can kind of see here, and it's probably not something that you're normally going to want to work with. If you need to modify stuff, you're going to want to go to Layout View. And I'm just going to use the button here on the bottom right corner to transition back to that. There's Report View, which basically just shows you the data. Pretty much like what Layout View does, except for it doesn't allow us to edit any of the fields that are going to appear in the report. And there's also Print Preview, because most of the time when you're working with a report, you're going to print it out, or you're going to maybe make a PDF of it. If you're going to actually view it on screen inside of Access, you're probably more likely to use a form. So as we go and take a look at our report here, we can see that we're having a little bit of problem with data getting cut off on the right side of our page here. We have this title for high graduation rate, and we can only see part of it. We can fix this problem though, because we have a lot of wasted space, somewhat with the district, but especially with the school year. We don't need all this space for the school year. So what we're going to want to do is resize and reposition things so that all of this data appears just on one page wide. Because right now, it's actually taking up two. Let's go over to Layout View and let's get things fixed here. So when I'm working with my report, I can adjust the heading or the data independently. But if we're going to resize or reposition things, we probably want to do both at the same time so that everything lines up. What we can do for that is with like our heading selected, we can hold down the Shift key and click in the data part of our column here so everything gets highlighted. And then we can go and resize and move stuff around. In this case, I'm going to resize the school year column so it's a lot narrower. I've positioned my mouse over the right edge of that column, and you can see that my cursor here has changed this double-sided arrow. I'm just going to drag over to the width that I want, and I'm going to release my mouse. It's resized my column here, and it also went and basically shifted everything else to the left. We can see now that high graduation rate with the data, the full width there, and the label appear within the bounds of these dashed lines, which are the margins for our page. So all this information is going to appear on one page wide. But there's still a little bit more here on the side. And if we actually go and look at this in print preview mode, we can still see there's actually a second page showing up there. If we look at the bottom, we can see part of the footer where it has what page reviewing, that's actually spilling over. So we're going to reposition that as well. Back here in layout view, I'm just going to scroll to the bottom of my page. And where I have the footer text here where it says page 1 of 1, I'm just going to go and drag this over so that it appears inside the bounds of my margin for the page. You can see that it got rid of this second page here. So let's go back to print view preview and take a look at things again. And now we can see everything is appearing just one page wide. We don't have that second series of pages. I'm going to close back out of print preview. The other thing that I want to do here is I want to go and adjust the headings. Right now it brought stuff over just as it appeared in my query, and these are the names of the fields that were in my query. So since I named things without spaces, they appear here without spaces. I want to go and fix them so that they're a little bit more like standard English words. To adjust the text in one of my headings, I'm just going to double click in it, and then I can position my cursor and type in a space there. So we now have school space year. We'll do the same thing with high graduation rate. And for sum of enrollment, I'm going to keep it as sum of enrollment, but just as multiple words. I might want to retitle that as maybe total enrollment or maybe even just enrollment, but for this, I'm going to change it to sum of enrollment. So things are looking a lot better here. So let's go and save our changes. I'm just going to get back out of print preview again here, and we're going to save our changes. And I'm going to close this report. The other major way to build a report is using the report wizard. Let's head over to the create ribbon, and I'm going to click on the report wizard button here to launch that. This works pretty similarly to the form wizard. First step here is we need to choose where our data is going to come from. And for this report, we want to display information on each school that has a high graduation rate. And that's going to come from query 4B. We want to display all the fields that are in this query. So I'll go and click on the double right arrow button here. That'll go and add all of them to the selected fields list. I'm going to click next. And we're asked how we want to view our data. The instructions tell us that we want to view by school statistics. If we wanted to here, we could also view by schools and there would be sort of headings within. But we're going to view by school statistics right now. So everything's kind of in one big chunk. On the next step, we're going to add some grouping levels. These will allow us to go and organize our data. So we're going to go and group our data by the grades served. So I'm going to click on grades served here, and I'll click the right arrow. You can see that it's now this grouping level. So we'll have this grade served heading, and then underneath that we'll have managing district, school name, school year, graduation rate. This is the only thing that we need to do on this step of the wizard, so we'll click next. And here we want to specify our sort order. I'm going to go and sort by school name, and then I'm going to sort here by school year, and we want both of these to be sorted in ascending order. So I'm going to leave these listed as ascending. If I want to do descending again, I could just click on the button to toggle, but ascending is good. We'll go to the next step, and we can choose different layouts for things, and you can kind of get a preview of what they're going to look like here. We're told in the instructions we want to use a step layout and landscape page orientation. And we'll leave this box here checked where it's going to adjust the field width so all fields fit on a page. We'll double check that it's right when it's done. This normally handles things, but sometimes you still have to do a little bit of tweaking. Let's go ahead and click the next button, and we're going to give a name for our report here. And we want to call this High Graduation Rate Schools. And I'm going to click Finish. So you can see here we're now viewing what our report's going to look like in print preview mode is where it took us. So we have basically this heading here with the grades served, and then we have the different schools and school years within that category. And it looks like it does have everything on one page. It's not going 2 pages wide. And we can actually go over to layout view and go and verify. You can see things aren't going and showing up with another section off to the right. Everything is within the bounds. So looks like we're in pretty good shape here. If we want to, we can go and change up the headings for these different categories, but we're not specifying that as part of the instructions for this step. So we're just going to go and save things as they are, and we'll close out of our report. This is a relatively short project. To finish things up, let's go to our analysis questions and take a look at the question prompt. This is going to be question 5C, and we're told that the average attendance rate for schools with a high graduation rate is 94.3%. And we're asked if we think that good attendance leads to a high graduation rate, and we're told to explain our answer. And for my answer, I said that there was a high correlation between attendance and graduation, that if you have students who are absent a lot, it tends to put them behind. They have to go and make up things. And also it kind of sets them up that if they're missing class a lot, they're going to be more likely to have problems getting ready to graduate, and so they may just try to drop out instead. I'm going to go ahead and click out of that record so that saves my changes, and I'll close the analysis questions table. Let's finish things up by running Compact and Repair Database. We're going to head over to the Database Tools ribbon for that, and we'll click the Compact and Repair Database button. At this point, we're done with the project. You'll want to exit out of Access and submit your file.